I tell ye, Zucky, this is why I don't go near crowds. Too many beaks, not enough breadcrumbs.
Come on, Captain Sohail, it's a community lunch. Seed sandwiches, millet muffins, pistachio punch. What's not to love?
You call that love? Look over yonder. Watch that big-billed buzzard nab that chickadee's cookie. That was a clear peck pocketing.
Wait, really? Oh no, I saw her save that cookie since morning.
Aye, and now it's gone. Swallowed whole like a ship in a storm.
Should we say something? Maybe tell the buzzard to give it back?
What for? Not our crumbs. Let the crumbs fall where they may, I say.
But that's not fair. That little chickadee looked really sad. She's just sitting there now, holding her empty leaf plate.
Justice is a stormy sea, my dear man. If you flap into every gust of unfairness, you'll never stay dry. You'll be drenched in drama and buried in feathers.
So we just pretend it didn't happen? What if that was your fish sandwich?
Exactly. Rule of the wind. Mind your own feathers. And also, never let your sandwich out of sight.
I don't know. I just think someone should have stood up for her, even if it wasn't their cookie.
Anyway, eat your sandwich before someone else does. Ooh, is that sunflower spread? The good kind?
Yeah, but it doesn't taste right anymore.
That's why I always eat angry. You never taste regret that way.
You know, sometimes even tiny voices need someone to stand with them, even if it's just one bird.
You're getting emotional again. That sandwich has gone straight to your heart.
My heart? Maybe that's where justice starts.
And so does indigestion.
Mirage Digital presents The Amazing Stories with Zucky the Hoopoe. Season 2, Episode 5, The Pact of the Brave. Salam, my brilliant buddies! It's me, Zucky the Hoopoe, your fluttery friend and favorite storyteller. Now, I know you're wondering what today's story is about. Today's story is about something really special. It's about justice. Do you know what justice means? Let's think about it like this. Imagine you and your friend are playing with blocks. You both built towers, but then someone comes and knocks over your tower, and nobody stops them. That wouldn't feel fair, would it? Justice means making sure everyone is treated fairly, that people help when someone is being hurt, or left out, or taken advantage of.
Fair? Bah! I once lost a worm trade to a woodpecker with a silver tongue, still waiting for justice.
Justice means saying, hey, that's not okay, even when no one else is saying it. It's about doing the right thing, even when it's really hard.
Sounds like a lot of feathers in one nest.
Just courage, kindness, and a promise that changed history. Because today we're flying back to the city of Makkah. A man was treated very unfairly, and our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, helped make things right. So, grab your favorite snack, fluff your feathers, and get ready. Because today we're flying back to Makkah, to the time of the Pact of Justice. A long, long time ago, before the Quran was revealed, before the first verses came down, there was the city of Makkah. It was hot, oh so hot. The sun would shine on the golden sand, and the rocks would shimmer like they were on fire. Can you imagine? If you cracked an egg on the ground, it would cook right there on the sand.
Not a bad way to make breakfast, come to think of it. Bit of pepper, some salt, maybe a dash of date syrup.
Maybe for you, Captain. But Makkah wasn't just hot, it was important. At the center of the city stood the Kaaba, the sacred house built by Prophet Ibrahim. Remember that story? People came from all over to visit it. They brought gifts, they prayed, and yes, they traded things too, like spices, fabrics, colorful beads, juicy dates, and shiny silver coins. But there was a problem. You see, not everyone in Makkah was treated fairly. If you were from a powerful tribe or family, people listened to you, helped you, protected you, liked you. But if you were from a small tribe or came from far away with no family or friends in Makkah, then things could be very, very different. And that's exactly what happened to one man, a merchant. That means he sold things to make a living. He came all the way to Makkah with his camels and carts full of goods from far, far away.
Let me guess, he was honest, polite, gave out free samples, 4.5 stars out of 5 on all socials. Well, we all know that never ends well.
He was all of those things, and he sold his goods to a very rich man from one of the big Makkah tribes. But after the merchant handed over everything, the rich man smiled, nodded, and walked away, just like that, without paying for what he bought. The merchant waited and waited. He asked nicely. Then he asked again. He even begged. But the rich man just laughed and told him to go away.
Aye, that's low, even for a buzzard.
But here's the worst part. People saw it happen, right there in the market, and no one did anything. They looked away. Some of them were scared, some pretended not to see, because the rich man was powerful, and the merchant, he was just one person, one voice.
Well, Zucky, sometimes it's best not to poke the lion when you're just a feathered snack. Getting involved in other birds' business can land you in a hawk's belly.
But Captain, if everyone says not my problem, then the problem never gets fixed, does it?
Maybe. Better to stay in the sky and out of the storm, I say.
That's called injustice. When something unfair happens and people who could help just choose not to. That's when the world needs someone brave. It doesn't mean the other people are bad. It just means they're scared, or tired, or afraid they'll get in trouble. But when someone stands up, even just one person, something amazing can happen.
Or something messy.
But this merchant didn't give up. No, sir. He climbed up the side of a mountain near the Kaaba. His feet were tired, his lips were dry, but his heart was strong. And from the top of the mountain, he shouted with all his might, "People of Makkah, I was treated unfairly. Is there no one who will help me? No one who will stand for what is right?" His voice echoed through the streets. It bounced off the stones. It stirred in the wind. It was small, but it reached the hearts of some very big souls. Now remember, Makkah was full of people. Traders, travelers, leaders, neighbors. All of them heard the merchant's cry echoing across the mountains. And most of them stayed quiet. They heard him, but they looked the other way.
Like I said, lad, too many feathers get ruffled when you stick your beak in someone else's mess. Better to stay quiet, stay clean.
But not everyone thought that way, Captain Sohail. A few noblemen, men with kind hearts and brave spirits, heard the cry and said, "This isn't right. We have to do something." One of those men was the Prophet, peace be upon him. Muhammad was still a young man, but already wise, honest, and brave. With Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was his uncle, Zubair ibn Abdul Muttalib. And when they gathered in the house of a man named Abdullah ibn Judan, they made something very special, a pact.
A pact? What's that? A fancy pirate password?
No, Captain Sohail. A pact is like a super-duper serious promise. A promise that says, we'll stick together, we'll help the ones who are treated unfairly, even if it's hard, even if it means standing up to someone bigger than us. And that's exactly what they did. They stood up. They promised from that day forward, if anyone in Makkah was treated unfairly, whether they were rich or poor, local or a stranger, they would help.
Sounds like a lot of work, and possibly a lot of angry camels.
Maybe, but real courage means helping anyway, even when it's scary, even when it's not easy. You know what the Prophet Muhammad said many years later? He said that being part of that pact was one of the best things he ever did. He said, even now, in Islam, I would still join it again.
Even after all he'd seen, all he'd done?
Yes, because standing up for justice is always the right thing. And guess what happened next? The people of the Pact went straight to that rich man, the one who refused to pay the merchant. They stood in front of him together and said, "Give the man what you owe him." The rich man was shocked. He tried to laugh it off, but they didn't back down. So at last, he handed over the money. And the merchant? He got what he was owed. Finally.
One little voice made a mountain move.
Sometimes that's all it takes. One brave voice and a few good hearts willing to listen. The merchant's face lit up when he got his money back. Not because he was rich now, but because someone had finally listened. Someone had stood with him. Someone helped him. You know, sometimes all someone really wants is to feel heard, to know that what happened to them mattered. And after the pact was made, the people of Makkah started to notice something new, something good. It was like the whole city sat up straighter, like hearts grew a little braver. And all of that, it started with one tiny voice and a few good people who decided, we can't stay quiet anymore.
From just a little shout on a mountaintop.
That's how change begins, Captain Sohail. One voice, then another, then a whole room full of people saying, we're going to help. And what's amazing is, Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, prophethood hadn't even started yet. He didn't have a big army or a message from the skies, but he had a good heart, and he wasn't afraid to stand for the truth.
So you're saying you don't need to be famous or important or covered in medals?
Nope, you just need to be kind and brave. Even a little bit brave is enough. Like standing up when someone skips the line for the slide at the park. Or when someone takes your friend's snack and laughs about it. Saying, hey, that's not okay, can feel small, but it makes a big difference.
I suppose I've had a few moments, times I could have said something, done something, but I didn't.
That's okay, Captain Sohail. We all have. What matters is what we do next.
Well, I might have told that buzzard earlier to give the cookie back.
Wait, really?
I whispered it, mind you, real quiet, under my breath. Don't want to start a whole feather fight.
That still counts.
Didn't feel like much, but she smiled. That little chickadee.
That's how justice works. A small thing that means a lot.
Bah! Look what you've done. Turned me soft as pudding.
Just a little, but pudding with principles. My dear listeners, today we learned something really important. Justice means standing up when something isn't fair. Not just for ourselves, but for others too. Sometimes it's easy to look away, to say, that's not my problem, or someone else will help. But the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, didn't wait for someone else. He stood up for what was right. And we can do that too, even if we're small, even if we're shy. We can say, that's not okay. We can help, we can be kind, and that's a very big thing, because every time someone chooses to do the right thing, even a little thing, it makes the world a better place.
I'll admit it, Zucky. You've got a point buried under all those feathers.
That's as close to a compliment as I'm gonna get, isn't it?
Look, I still think storming into every mess can get you soaked. But maybe, just maybe, there's more damage in doing nothing.
That's pretty wise, Captain.
I've seen a lot of storms in my day, but I'll say this, today reminded me, sometimes the strongest wave isn't made by a ship or a storm. It's made by someone speaking up when it matters.
Exactly. And sometimes that someone might just be you. Whew! What a story! From a lonely shout on a mountain to a promise that changed a city. That's the power of standing up for what's right. I hope you remember this story the next time you see someone being treated unfairly. At the playground, in your classroom, or even at snack time. You can make a difference, even with just one kind word. Now next time on Amazing Stories with Zucky, we've got a tale that's all about trust. A very mysterious gift. A long time passing. And someone who could have taken what wasn't his, but didn't. Ooh, yes. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. Until then, keep your wings warm, your hearts brave, and your voices kind.
And remember, mates, if you ever see injustice,
Yes? What do we do, Captain?
make a pact, raise your beak, and never let anyone steal your sandwich again.
Captain!
Hashtag justice for my lunch. I'm making it a movement.
This story was produced by Mirage Digital. Voices provided by Wayne Holland as Zucky and Curtis Fletcher as Captain Sohail. Episode written, directed, and edited by Syed Kashef and Atef Hussein. For more content by Mirage Digital, please visit our site at www.mirage.digital.
Content copyright and production copyright 2025 by Mirage Digital.